And you're the idiot that calls into this show with no compassion. What a shocker you're a Trump supporter. What a shocker. Get the hell off. Get this idiot off my show. Let's go to somebody called Democrat MAGA who calls into this show from time to time. By the way, he's a MAGA.
Is he a Democrat or
no? He's a MAGA supporter. Okay. Go ahead, Democrat MAGA. We'll just call you Mr. MAGA. Go right ahead.
It's me. Can you believe it's been 4 years straight, number one caller on PTL? But anyway, I'm calling to agree with Brian for the first time in years about his take on SNAP benefits and the starving children in America. And what really got to me is the other day in Las Vegas when they showed the line of people getting food at 3 Square. Mm-hmm. And one family in particular, they're sitting there with their trunk open in their Toyota Highlander, 3 kids in the back seat on their iPhone 14s. 14s, Brian, not 20s. They couldn't afford that. Mm-hmm. Sure, they were all overweight, but they have a right to get their Funyuns for free, just like anybody else. I could not tell if this was Sudan or the USA. These starving children in America, this has got to stop. It's just, I'm sure your listeners can't tell the difference either. I thought it was Sudan. I mean, you and Leonard went on with the starving children of America because they haven't gotten their food in 2 weeks.
Okay, so I'm starting to get a sense that you're being sarcastic. Are you being truthful and serious that this does break your heart, or are you just trying to mock people for talking about children that are starving? Because I don't want to waste airtime.
How idiotic it is! Kids are not starving in America.
Kids are not starving. Okay, first of all, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. If I go in downtown Las Vegas right now, and I think Woodrow would agree with me on this, there are children that are starving. We have a major homeless problem in this country. We have starvation in this country. So for you to come on this show, and despicable, by the way, to make a joke and be sarcastic, when there are millions of people in this country right now that don't know how they're going to be getting their next meal, makes you an absolute imbecile. No, don't Brian me. Don't Brian me. Do you understand? Do you? Oh, by the way, and who did that? Was it Republicans or Democrats, you dope? For you to call into this, see, this is where I get pissed off.
Has people starving.
Stop talking about, oh, so that makes it okay, doofus? There are millions of people in this country.
You show up and your family's on their iPhone and they're streaming a movie.
You have no idea. You have no idea what you're talking about. When was the last time you were in a soup kitchen, huh, doofus? When was the last time you were in a soup kitchen? When was the last time you helped the needy? When was the last time you gave food to people that are suffering in this country? There are families downtown right now and millions of families across the country while suffering. You have the gall and no decency to call into the show and try to make a sarcastic joke. What the hell is wrong with you? You are an imbecile is what you are. And you obviously have no compassion. And I pray to God, Jesus Christ, right now. I pray to Jesus right now. This is the religious side of me, Woodrow, that's coming out right now. I pray to Jesus right now that this MAGA imbecile that's on the phone one day starves. I pray one day, for one day, that you don't have food and you know what it feels like not knowing where your next meal is. You imbecile. You are an imbecile is what you are.
Do you think people in Sudan are starving?
You keep bringing up Sudan because you're a dumbass. I'm not talking about, we're the richest country in the world, you idiot. You're talking about some of the poorest countries in the world. We're the richest country in the world. Nobody should be starving to death, you doofus. I hope somebody takes every food and all the money that's out of your bank account one day and all the food that you have. I hope you donated all to the Donald Trump campaign or Donald Trump. And I hope you are starving one day. And then you'll call into the show and say, Brian, you know what? I was wrong. And then we'll make jokes about you on your iPhone. There are people in this city. There are people throughout the country that need food and they don't know where their next meal is going to be. And you're the idiot that calls into this show with no compassion. What a shocker. You're a Trump supporter. What a shocker. Get the hell off. Get this idiot off my show. Anyway, Woodrow, how you doing today?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Those are the people that drive me nuts. I know you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't mock the fact. You know that there are people in this country that are suffering. There are people that are starving. They're suffering. You would agree with that, right?
I do believe that people are suffering, but I will say that the America is unique, that it is very difficult to be poor in this country. Like it's
difficult to be poor.
Well, because hear me out here. If you graduate from high school and you don't have a child out of wedlock and you have a job, you will not be in poverty. That's it. If you do those three things, statistically speaking, you are not going to be in poverty. And, we're in a pretty privileged position as Americans that we have that, because that's not true in most places in the world. And
I don't think it's that easy to not be in poverty. I think there are people that are in poverty for all sorts of different reasons, and I feel for them. And anybody that calls into this show, and I know you're not doing this, but for anybody that would call into the show and make jokes about people that are suffering is an absolute buffoon. I mean, and by the way, there's a lot of people in this country that are hardworking Americans that have 2 or 3 jobs, and they would absolutely disagree with what you just said. There's people in this country that are struggling, that are working multiple jobs, and they're not getting paid livable wages. $7.50 an hour is not a livable wage. That's why Democrats want to raise minimum wage. So I would respectfully disagree with you. I don't think it's easy not to be poor in this country. I think there's a lot of good, hardworking Americans in this country that are poor for a lot of different reasons. That's all. That's all.
Look, I know people probably see a guy in a suit jacket and they think I'm a privileged Ivy League person or something. But I've been homeless before. I wasn't homeless for very long because I worked really hard. Right. I believe that most homeless people right now choose to be homeless, and it's a mental health.
There's addiction involved. There's mental illness involved, but that doesn't mean we can't help them. That doesn't mean
absolutely.
And I think that's the point. But there's also people that work at Walmart that are working 2 or 3 jobs that are not mentally ill. Maybe they don't have an education, but they didn't have the opportunities that I had. They didn't have the opportunities that you had, and that's why we need to help those people. I'll be the first one to admit I'm not a huge Mamdani fan, but I do think he has some good ideas. And I'm at the stage now where I'm like, all right, let's give this guy a chance. Let's see what he can do in New York City. And I'm excited to see what he could do, because I do think he's a smart guy. But now he has the opportunity January 1st to get to work. So this is, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't too impressed with his speech. I thought there were a lot of generalizations, and I thought it was a little bit too long.
It was futuristic and overly broad, but it was good.
I was a little bored. I thought it was okay. But, I mean, this was the highlight of the speech for me when he went after Donald Trump. This was one of the moments where he brought up Donald Trump. I thought this was kind of funny.
So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Moment there, and I thought it was cool, and obviously he has a lot of support there in New York City, and I'm at the stage where, okay, congratulations, I'm glad you won. Would much rather see you in that position than Cuomo, but now it's time to get to work, or at least very soon, January 1st, and I'm curious, Leonard, to see how he does. He now has an opportunity. Okay, the campaigning is over, the promises are done with now, okay, you're going to get to work, and let's see if you actually help people that are struggling. And I think he deserves the opportunity. He's earned the opportunity. He worked really hard. I give him credit for that.
He says he's going to cap rent in Manhattan. That's, there's a lot of landlords, there's a lot of slumlords, a lot of very rich millionaires.
Very, very difficult to do something like that. But again, he's going to have the opportunity.
He promised, that was his number one promise. And then
he deserves a chance.
Helping people with groceries and the bodegos and seeing if he could help people, live better. So it's quite a challenge.
Yeah, but he deserves the opportunity and the chance to do it. He won fair and square. And I want you to listen to how some of the Republicans are talking about this guy, because they've been doing it for months now. And I find it to be so utterly despicable. I don't care what you think about this guy, Mamdani. To call him a terrorist is so beyond the pale. And listen to what Emmer said in describing Mamdani earlier today. It's absolutely disgusting.
Pro-terrorist Marxist radicals are now the left's mainstream. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about. That is a direct quote from Kami Mamdani, and it should terrify every single freedom-loving American.
Oh, you're the one who terrifies me, you white supremacist piece of human scum. Never has Mamdani said anything positive about Hamas. Never has Mamdani said anything positive about anybody who murders innocent people. You are a scumbag, and you are a white supremacist, and you are a rape supporter is what you are. You support Donald Trump. You support his agenda. You are a racist pig, Emmer. And he went on national television earlier today, and he continued with this pro-terrorist nonsense.
Right now, the question is, will Chuck Schumer and the Democrats realize that they need to be leaders and put the American people first as opposed to their politics, putting the Mamdani a pro-terrorist wing of their party first? So President Trump, right now, the question is, will Chuck...
So Emmer just described Mamdani once again as a pro-terrorist wing of the party.
That's ridiculous.
It is so beyond the pale despicable, and it's funny because all these Republicans out there will say, oh, you're the reason why Charlie Kirk was murdered. No, Tom Emmer is the reason. These people are not pro-terrorists. They don't want to see innocent people die.
Right.
Emmer is such a scumbag. Oh, and by the way, let me add something, you white supremacist piece of crap. Your beloved president of the United States, the orange turd Donald Trump, has the one who has aligned himself closely and accepted extravagant gifts from Qatar, a notorious funder of terrorists, which Donald Trump once said back in 2017. So if there's anybody cozying up to terrorists and supporting terrorists and people who support Hamas and Al-Qaeda, it's the guy who you support, Donald J. Trump, you scumbag,
He said
two-faced
Biden
piece of
should
garbage.
give the money back. He said you should give the money back. And Mamdani, just because he's a democratic socialist doesn't mean that you have to call him a Marxist. And, you know, you and I talked off the air a little bit about Marxism. And briefly, Marxism is when labor pushes back on capitalism, and then capitalism pushes back on labor. But if you know the study of Marxism, ultimately what happens is they cancel each other out, and the society has no leadership and no laws and no direction forward because labor does what they want and capitalists do what they want. It's really, how could you say he's a Marxist? That is a reality of a philosophy that will never occur in any country, especially this country.
I guarantee you many of these people that use that term don't even know what a
They
Marxist
don't.
is.
That's why I took a minute to explain.
And not only that, but to say that he is pro-terrorist, meaning that you are pro-killing innocent people. Not only is it a lie and is it wrong, but it makes Tom Emmer look like the stupid moron
it's
that he
simple
is.
racism because of the way he looks.
I agree. And Emmer is a white supremacist sympathizer.
He said good things about Israel last night in his speech. He said he supported the Palestinian people, and he articulated why. And so he's not really taking sides that you could articulate and say, oh, he's way on this side.
And the idea that they say, well, he's anti-Semitic, he's going to be horrible for the Jewish people. Okay, name me a policy that he wants to implement that you think is bad for Jewish people. I'm open ears. But they won't, because they're idiots. That's what these people are. They're idiots. They say he's pro-Hamas, he's pro-terrorist, he hates Jews. I've heard Jewish people in New York City, probably the same Jews who voted for Donald Trump, imbeciles is what I would call them, who are saying that, you know, this guy, Mamdani, is a Jew hater. Okay, name me something he's going to do in New York City that is bad for Jews. Is he going to exterminate Jews? Look at what Donald Trump is doing right now. Look at the way he's treating immigrants. They have ICE agents across the country who are not identifying themselves, who are tackling grandmothers outside of courtrooms. Tell me something that Mamdani, as a mayor, is going to do that is an anti-Semitic policy, because I can name you dozens of policies under the Trump administration that are bad for brown people in this country, that attack immigrants in this country, that are bad for poor people in this country, that only help the top 1%. So tell me something that Mamdani has done. You think he's an anti-Semite? Okay. What is he going to do that you think is really bad for Jews in New York City?
And that's not how he got elected. He got elected because he knew how to talk to people, and the Democrats could learn a lesson from him. Just say who you are. Be honest. Just say, this is the kind of, like, if someone asks you, oh, you're a lefty, you say, no, I'm an independent. Tell them who you are. Be proud of it. Stand by it. He told people what they wanted to hear. They're hurting for money. They're hurting economically. The poor people are hurting. The minorities are hurting. And he said, I'm going to do something about it as mayor. It was that simple. I don't see it any more complicated than that.
I agree. I completely agree with you. And by the way, to be fair, Emmer's not the only idiot using this language. A lot of others are. And then there's Kelly Loeffler, another complete imbecile. So Loeffler did the rounds this morning. And now she believes that this is a crisis. It's a crisis in New York. Listen to what she had to say.
This is going to be a crisis in the city of New York. To have a communist in there talking about seizing the means of production, taking away opportunities from small businesses, raising taxes, making promises that can't be kept. It's a cautionary tale for the rest of the country, but this is what the Democratic Party is. This is the face of the Democrat Party now, and you saw that with everyone, coming in and bowing to him. And this is why, this is what's at stake. It's the future of our country. It's free enterprise is at risk now.
Yeah.
And small businesses are going to be the first to suffer.
All right, Kelly, great to get
Explain something to this moron, this dumb bimbo, Kelly Loeffler, because that's what she is. First of all, Trump is the one that is literally demanding government stakes in private corporations. That's a lot closer, in my personal opinion, to seizing the means of production than anything Mamdani is going to be able to do to this dumb bimbo MAGA buffoon. And she said he's going to raise taxes. No, he's not.
At no point did he even imply that.
First of all, he never said he was going to raise taxes. Nothing in his platform is talking about raising taxes. And if anything, the only taxes that would be raised is maybe for extremely wealthy people. He's certainly not going to be raising classes for the middle class and those that are struggling, like your buffoon president who you perform oral pleasure to verbally every single day, who has given $100 billion in tax breaks every year to the top 1%. But this dumb bimbo who wears the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7 is saying, Mom, we're in a crisis. Mom,
Can I
Donnie's
ask
the
you a
one.
question, Brian? When's the last time a mayor ran the country? When's the last time any mayor in any city in recent history
It's
or
stupid.
distant history?
But he's the face of the party.
Yeah,
The guy who wins the mayor is the face of the party.
That's their
It's so
branding right now.
stupid.
That is their
No,
branding.
Let me be very clear who the face of the party is for the Republican Party. An adjudicated rapist, a 34-count felon, okay? A guy, literally, who was sued and lost thousands of dollars of lawsuits because he didn't want black people living on his properties in New York City. That is the leader of your party, okay?
This is a referendum on Trump. Trump said it was not. His people said it was not a mandate. 13 points, 15 points. Did you know, just not to get off subject, in Pennsylvania, 467 elections were accomplished locally in Pennsylvania yesterday. Do you know how many Republicans won?
How many?
11.
11.
Okay, so when we want to talk about mandate, and it includes Pittsburgh and a lot of the surrounding area, which is, a little bit heavily Democrat, but 11 out of 467, that's not a mandate? That's not a direction? That's not a referendum on Trump and the Trump administration?
This is an absolute mandate.
And the judges, not to interrupt you, and the judges.
Yeah.
They retained 3 judges in Pennsylvania, so it remains 5-2. The 3 that they were trying to get rid of, you have to vote. Every 10 years, you can vote to retain them or have a new judge. And all 3 were retained, so they have a 5-2 advantage in the left-leaning favor in Pennsylvania. Does that sound like it was close, Brian?
Here we go.
Did we get Brandon?
Brandon, what's up?
Where's Brandon?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Brian, a few things on my mind. First of all, you showed yesterday that you talked about Donald Trump weaponizing hunger, quote unquote. I think he's doing a good job by holding the stamp benefits hostage because it forces people to actually work hard for their food instead of just relying on the government. This whole culture of dependency is very toxic, and some of these people have too much to eat and not enough to do. So if you just kind of pull the rug up from underneath them, maybe they'll start working a little bit harder.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Brandon, hold on. I'll let you finish and make your other point, but let's just, if it's okay, let's just stick with that point first. All the people out there that are working full-time jobs, how many of those people are offered benefits? Do you know? Do you have any?
What kind of benefits?
Yeah, any benefits. Whether healthcare. Yeah. How many? I'm just curious because I want to know because you made the point that, basically people are lazy and this will get them off their ass. Of all the people in this country that are working full-time jobs, how many of those people are offered benefits?
Well, I'm not a statistician, and I don't have.
Okay, you don't. Okay, well, okay, so I do, and it's not right in front of me. I actually talk about these things every day, and I'm educated on the issue. With all due respect, you just made a blatant statement that you think it's good that he's taking food stamps away from American people,
starving people,
but you have absolutely no idea how many of these people are even.
They're unhealthy.
Okay, Donald Trump is unhealthy, so spare me with your BS. Okay, so that's irrelevant. 30% of people that are working in this country that are not lazy, that get up in the morning and go to work, 30% of them are not offered benefits. Since you didn't know that, let me give you another stat that I'm sure you are completely ill-informed and unaware of. Of the people that are offered benefits, that are working full-time jobs, How many of them can afford those benefits? Let me guess. You don't know. Silence means you. I'm going to assume.
Don't know.
Right. You don't know.
I think Brian knows.
49%. And by the way, that's not in front of me. This is what I do for a living. So you just said that all these people are lazy. I just showed you, and you can look up those stats if you don't believe me. So would you say that people that are working full-time jobs are lazy? The reason why I ask you that, sir, is because a lot of those people that we are talking about are on food stamps, and they're working full-time jobs. Would you call those people lazy, sir? Yes or no?
They're not lazy. They just need to work a little bit harder.
They need to work. Some of those. Okay, hold on. You just said, quote, they need to work a little bit harder. Are you also aware, sir, that many of those people are working 2, in some cases, 3 jobs? So what do you mean when you say, quote, they need to just work a little bit harder?
And they have to pay a babysitter.
Every single person that you see that is on food stamps, you would just say to them, tough cookies, you need to work a little bit harder. Do you know how many people that I know that at one point in their life were actually on food stamps? Many of them Republicans. Let me bring up a name for you, sir. He passed away a few years ago. I've spoken to him about this because he was a fraud. And I don't care whether he's alive or not. Do you remember a guy by the name of Joe the Plumber, sir?
I remember him vaguely.
Good. Do you remember him criticizing Barack Obama for exactly the same thing that you are criticizing them for? Lazy, they need to get off their ass. Do you remember that conversation he had with Barack Obama? You remember that?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Yes.
Guess who was on food stamps and welfare at one point in their life?
Probably Obama.
No, Joe the Plumber. Nice try, buddy. Nice try. Joe the Plumber was on welfare and was on food stamps. And then you guys made him the poster child of, oh, well, we need to get people off of food stamps and welfare because they're all lazy. Sir, with respect, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Do you understand that millions of Americans, many of them that are hardworking Americans that have families, rely on food stamps and Medicaid to live? And you're going on the air and calling into the show. And yes, you're entitled to your opinion, even though as ill-informed as you are, because you have no idea what you're talking about, that many of these Americans are hardworking people that rely on these government programs. How is it possible that you are not aware of this?
So, Brandon, you think it's okay to starve people because you don't think they work hard enough? You don't know their life circumstances. You don't know anything about these people.
Well, you don't
know how they got into the situation. Many of them
have
broken families, and they were born into broken families.
Hold on a second.
You're assuming they're just lazy.
Did you hear what he just said? He just said, if you don't work, you don't eat. Sir, get the MAGA wax out of your ears. Did you understand what I just said? I just slowly tried
That is as un-American as it gets.
I just slowly tried to explain to you.
Most American thing you can do is work.
Sir, I just explained to you the working class in this country, which you were completely ill-informed to. I gave you the statistics, which completely goes to the opposite of your argument. So would you like to move on now? Because you have no idea what you're talking about.
He's un-American.
It's not even un-American. You're just ill-informed, sir. You don't know what you're talking about.
It's not American to watch starving people starve and blame them for it.
Why is Mom Donnie, who won a free and fair election, un-American? Give me a policy that you disagree with.
Well, look at him. He's a Muslim.
Okay.
That's so racist. Oh, my God.
Hold on. So you don't want a Muslim being an elected official who's a legal immigrant in this country?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So you just want
anti-Western.
Okay.
You're in another reality.
Hold on.
And this is a Christian nation.
Hold on. Stop talking. When I say hold on, that means shut up. Okay. You're telling me right now that you don't want any brown people as elected officials in this country. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say brown. I said Islam's incompatible with America.
So every single...
That's un-American.
Hold on a second. So every Islamic person, doesn't matter who they are. So if you're Islam, in your opinion, they're all bad?
I didn't say they're all bad. So they should not be holding office because their ideology is incompatible with America, which is a Christian.
That makes no sense. He hasn't done anything in accordance with his ideology to go against America. He hasn't done one thing you can name. Name one thing he's done. One policy.
What is his ideology?
His ideology is Marxist, communist.
No, it's not.
No, he's not Marxist.
Name me one Marxist or communist policy that he spoke about as running for office, please.
government-run grocery stores. That's socialism.
Okay, so first of all, government-run grocery
Which
stores.
is anti-American as
now
well,
it's time.
being Islam.
Now it's time for you to be quiet because I'm going to inform you once again because you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. What he was speaking about is certain grocery stores that help the needy. The prices are lower. Okay. Yes, exactly. He was talking about those for the most needy people in this country that are starving. Now, we've already established that you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about when it comes to working class America and many of those people that are struggling. You also don't know what you're talking about. That has nothing to do with being Marxist. It has to do with setting up government-run grocery stores to help the most needy, poorest people in this country. We don't want those people stealing. We don't want those people living on the streets. Idiots like you complain every day about the homeless problem, but then when Democrats come up with some solutions that would help getting people off the streets, you call them Marxists. Okay, so you failed miserably on that occasion.
And it wasn't government run, by the way.
Right. Give me another example, because you failed on example number one.
That is not what he
of
said.
Something that is a communist or Marxist policy. Give me another example. You haven't given me one yet. Go ahead.
Does he even know what Marxism is?
Government controlling and subsidizing the transportation. I mean,
okay. So you think
that's
it's
not Marxist?
Again, that's not Marxist. Can you tell me what the word Marxist? What does the word Marxist mean? What's the definition of Marxist?
Yeah, you're calling him a Marxist. Define it.
What's socialism?
Impress us with your definition.
Like AOC, Bernie Sanders.
I didn't ask you. No. Hold on. I didn't ask you who was socialist. I said, and don't Google it on your Obama phone. What is the definition of socialism?
Socialism is where the government controls the means of everything, and they get
that is nuts.
He doesn't even know what socialism is, sir. You're such a moron.
He does need Google.
Do
you know what Marxism is? Because Marxism, at its very height, cannot exist in any society, let alone American society. What you're saying is a red herring. It's an ideology that doesn't exist anywhere.
By the way, local transportation is provided by taxpayers, okay, which clearly you're unfamiliar with. You don't know what you're talking about.
And that's a social program, and Republicans use the bus.
Yeah, and then I hear you guys talking about voter ID, and everybody needs ID to vote. Well, if you're homeless and you don't have transportation, okay, well, if you're homeless and you need transportation, don't you think that would help people get voter ID, dummy?
I mean,
you're wasting
my time. How about
time.
communism? How about if he knows communism?
Let's ask him another question, because he's failed on the first two. Okay. You claim that Mamdani is a Marxist and a socialist. By the way, you don't even know the definition of the two, but that's okay.
Nothing wrong with being a socialist.
You said
he's not good.
You said, okay, well, that's your opinion. I don't think you're good, okay? I know enough about you to say you're not good for the country. You're a socialist. You're a Marxist, okay? Give me a third example. Your first example was grocery stores to help the poor. That's not Marxist. Okay, then you talked about bus transportation or public transportation. That wouldn't make it Marxist either. Give me a third example, even though you don't know the definition of what a Marxist is or a socialist is. Go ahead. Give me another example, sir. I'll give you the chance.
Well, that's only two things that really stick out, because I don't live in New York, but I just know that this guy is anti-American.
Give me an example of what is anti-American based on policy. Go ahead, sir. And by the way, feeding the poor is not anti-American. Give me an example of something it's
very American.
Give me an example of something that Mamdani has said or something he wants to implement policy-wise that you would consider anti-American. Go ahead.
I don't have any specifics.
You don't have anything because you don't know what you're talking about.
Can I ask him a question?
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't have any facts. You have no idea what you're talking about. You listen to your Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and right-wing media that feed you BS. And do you understand, sir? I'm trying to have a conversation with you. When you make a claim, for example, I think that Donald Trump has abused women. Why do I think that? Because he's a liable sexual abuser, proven in a court of law. He's had 25 women he's had 25 women that have accused him of such. And he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and his own ex-wife testified under oath that he assaulted her. You see, when I come up with an opinion, like you don't like Mamdani, okay, fine. Give me some reasons why. And you say, well, he's Marxist, he's socialist. Number one, you don't even know what a Marxist is.
He's a Muslim. He's anti-American.
So let me deal with your racism for a moment, sir. Do you know that there? What would you? Okay, anti-American.
Totally racist.
Do you realize that there are?
No, it's not.
Okay, so hold on. Did you serve this country, sir? Yes or no?
Military.
Okay, you didn't serve the country. Are you aware that there are tons of Muslims, thousands of Muslims that are serving in our military? Are you aware of that, sir? Yes or no? Answer the question.
Yeah, like Nadal Hassan was.
Okay.
I mean,
are you, sir? Answer my question. Are you aware that there are thousands that are Muslim people in this country legally that are serving to protect people like you? And would you call those people anti-American? Yes or no?
I wouldn't call them that.
Okay, because you're a moron. Let me just be clear.
Can I take a
yeah,
stab
hang on one second.
And then I want to take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never served this country, but yet people that are Muslim who have put everything on the line came into this country the right way for a better life for themselves and their family, risking their lives to protect idiots like you, serving. And you say they're anti-American? Do you realize what a fool you are? You are a coward and you are a racist. Why don't you repeat after me? I'm a coward and I'm a racist, because that's what you are. You're despicable.
No, Brandon, can I take a stab at maybe making some sense to you?
Witness.
I'm sorry, what? Wait, hold on
Go
one
ahead.
second.
You're bearing
How so?
false witness.
How so? How so?
Because you're saying things about me that's not true.
Okay, you never, hold on.
Reputation.
No, you're the one who's slandering. You never served this country, and there are brave men and women in uniform that are Muslim that are serving this country and risking their lives.
They reject Christ.
So he can be on the show and say what he wants.
First of all, just because of your religion, whether you're an atheist, you reject Christ, no matter what your religion is, I don't care. You know what I care about? And by the way, to say that all Muslims reject Christ makes you an imbecile, because they don't.
They do.
Okay, hold on, sir.
That's not
so
true.
Are you saying if you're an atheist and you reject Christ, and that's your right as your religious belief, but you're willing to, why don't you wait until I finish my question, you buffoon? If you're an atheist, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, and you risk your life for this country, and you're 22 years old and you lose your life at war, would you call that person anti-American, or would you say that person is a hero? Yes or no? Is that a hero, or is that somebody anti-American who doesn't?
I would say a hero, but I would pray for the repose of their soul, because they obviously have to atone for their sins.
Why is it that somebody straps on a uniform, serves this country honorably, willing to risk their life for this country, and they pay the ultimate price, but because they don't believe in Jesus Christ like you, they're not a hero? Do you realize
Well,
how
he said
stupid?
they need prayers and repose. That makes no sense. They gave their life for their country. Brandon, let me see if I can make a little sense to you, if you don't mind. So you seem to be, Republican, a MAGA, which is okay. You can, believe whatever you want. But let me ask you something. I assume you have a vehicle, maybe a family. I assume you go to work or you drive on vacation.
I don't assume that.
Did you ever?
I don't think this guy has a GED.
Brandon, did you ever drive on a public road? Did you ever drive at night where there's street lights? Did you ever walk on a public sidewalk? Did you ever call 911 for medical or fire or police emergency? Have you ever done that?
Sure.
Okay, then you agree with socialism, because those are all social programs. So you must think socialism is okay for you. You just don't think it's okay for other people because you don't like their circumstances. And what I'm trying to tell you is you're being small-minded and closed-minded. Open up your mind and realize that socialism is what makes America run. They collect the taxes and then they provide the services. You like the services, but you don't like the people that are getting the services. You think only you and the people like you deserve those services. And I think that, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to call you any names, but I think maybe you need to get more educated and maybe read some books. Start with, the U.S. Constitution. Start with that. So you understand how America got here. You understand why we have to help the poor and the sick and the elderly. You don't get it.
The problem, Brandon, is you also make generalizations about certain groups of individuals. Let me tell you something.
And you do that with MAGA. So
no, I don't. Point? Name me one thing I've said to generalize every single person who voted for Donald Trump.
Well, you call everyone despicable. This,
wrong. No, trust me. I know what I say. See, these are people that don't listen. I'm going to ask you to take the MAGA wax out of your ears and listen for a moment, okay? Never had I said that every single person who voted for Donald Trump is despicable. I did say that everybody that is despicable in this country probably voted for Donald Trump. Never did I say everybody who voted for Donald Trump is racist. What I did say is everybody that is racist voted for Donald Trump.
That's exactly what
now,
you
I
said.
know that that's very difficult for you to understand, okay?
I am not a Trump diehard either.
I don't care. I don't care.
You're not my first pick.
I don't care. Did you hear what I just said? Why don't you admit what you just said is wrong? Never have I said everybody who has voted for Donald Trump is despicable. Why don't you on the air right now own it and say, oh, sorry, I didn't realize that's what you said. Why don't you admit what you said was wrong? You make stuff up.
Okay, I was wrong.
Thank you.
I was wrong.
Thank you.
You got to give credit for that.
No, I'm not going to give any credit. Are you also wrong when you say that everybody, because that's how this conversation started, everybody that is on food stamps is lazy or they need to get off their ass? Now that I've given you the statistics of people that are working, hard working people, will you also admit you were wrong about that?
Well, not all of them are lazy, but I'm saying a lot of them. I worked at a grocery store. A lot of these people, they buy like pop and.
So because you worked at a grocery store, I would imagine as a bagger, because
It's just common sense.
I would imagine because you worked at a grocery store, that means you can define every hardworking American in this country that's on food stamps. Sir, you don't know what you're talking about. And let me tell you, if you were a greeter at this grocery store, I would look the other way. Okay. I would walk away from you. Okay. You were probably a terrible greeter. You were probably a terrible bagger.
I'd give you a hug.
I wouldn't want you to touch me. You'd be the last person on the planet.
Listen to me,
I'd
Brandon.
punch you in the face if you tried to touch me. I would defend myself.
Listen to me, Brandon. So you understand, it is un-American to not feed the hungry. It's un-American to blame them for their own circumstances. It's un-American to say that the elderly have to provide their own health insurance and, oh, too bad for them. It's American to stand up for these people, to feed these people, to fight for these people. You're very un-American, in my opinion.
Can I ask him another question?
Leonard, it's un-American to rely on the government.
Please. First of all,
there's never been more government than now. The government is in every state. The government is in every institution. The government is every single place. This is the biggest government we've ever had.
How much money did you make when you worked at the supermarket, sir?
Oh, it's been many years.
I don't
probably made like $12 an hour.
Right. And how many
years?
Okay. And how many hours did you work there, sir? Per week? Like
I think we're between like 32 and 40 a week.
So you were making how much money per year there?
I don't know. I'm not a mathematician.
So maybe
$11 is $22,000.
So maybe you're making around $22,000 to $20,000 a year. You're paying your taxes. I'm wondering, how did you live on like $15,000 a year?
Well, at the time I was living at home, still going to school. So I didn't have.
Still living at home.
So you were leeching off of your family. So you don't want people using government benefits to help them survive. But you're the guy making $15,000 a year.
In between jobs.
You're the guy making $15,000 a year that was leeching off of your parents. What are you doing now, sir?
No vehicle.
Well, I have a very responsible job, but I'm not going to tell you what I do.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. There are some people in this country that couldn't rely on their parents for whatever reason. Maybe they were bad parents. Maybe they don't have parents. So for somebody that was working your job as a bagger or whatever the hell you were doing, making $15,000 a year after taxes, would you think it would be bad for those people to maybe get $200 a month off the government for food stamps that maybe didn't have the luxury that you have to leech off of your parents? Would you have a problem with that? Or it's only people like you who are the lucky ones who can leech off your parents and live with your family?
His parents were subsidizing him.
Yeah. What do you think about that, sir? Are you okay with someone that was
lazy?
Is someone that was in your position that doesn't have parents that they can leech off of like you?
Is that lazy?
Answer the question, sir.
No, it's not. I mean, if they're working hard, if they're working hard, doing the right thing.
Okay, good. I'm glad we agree.
Okay, but he didn't make enough money.
Hold on, Brandon. Okay, so hang on. You just agreed with me that yes, it's okay if they're working hard. I gave you the stats to start this conversation, which I don't think registered in your head. So we'll try
the hillbillies and the welfare mamas in the hood.
I know you're racist, sir. Just relax for a moment.
I'm not a racist.
Okay, no, you're not.
You're totally a racist.
You're not,
are you kidding? You're the definition.
You're not racist at all, yet you made a complete generalization about all Muslims. Okay, you're the definition.
And Mamdani, yeah.
Okay, you just agreed with me, okay, that if you're making $15 an hour and they don't have parents to live with and leech off of like you did, that you're okay with them getting government benefits. I just told you that 30% of people that are working right now are not offered benefits and 49% of them can't afford it. So why don't you admit that you're wrong about this conversation? You make assumptions about people. You make assumptions about religions. You make assumptions about hardworking Americans that need government assistance to survive, yet you have no idea what you're talking about. And instead of you getting government assistance, you leeched off your parents, sir. You know what? I'm done with you. Have a nice day. Good luck with the rest of your bagging career.
Was he saying he was a Christian also?
Freaking moron. 70222.
Why do they even debate? They have no facts, no common sense, no critical thinking.
Well,
come on, Brandon, do better.
GED
study.
GED Brandon.